Good evening. Scottish voters have rejected independence in a historic referendum. Scotland's nationalist leader Alex Salmond conceded defeat but called for a pledge of more devolved powers to be honoured. British Prime Minister David Cameron celebrated with an announcement of plans to use the offer of more powers to Scotland to introduce English votes for English laws.
With 31 of 32 constituencies declared, Scotland's no supporters knew they had won 55% of the vote, while separatists were on 45%. Scotland's independence was democratically rejected, and the Glasgow Unionist campaigners burst into cheers, with some breaking down with joy. Shortly after, Scottish nationalist leader Alex Salmond conceded defeat over his bid to win independence and demanded the British government rapidly meet its promise of more powers for Edinburgh.
Thank you to Scotland for 1.6 million votes for Scottish independence. And Scotland has, by majority, decided not at this stage to become an independent country. I accept that verdict of the people, and I call on all of Scotland to follow suit in accepting the democratic verdict of the people of Scotland.
He commended Scottish voters for a high turnout, calling it a triumph for the democratic process and participation in politics. In a country of 5.3 million, the no to Scotland's independence will trigger speculation about whether Mr. Salmond can survive as leader of the Scottish nationalists. The vote's turnout was a relief for millions of Britons, including Prime Minister David Cameron, whose job was on the line, as well as allies across the world, who were horrified at the prospect of the United Kingdom's separation. David Cameron celebrated the results and, in a dramatic move, replied to Salmond, announcing plans to use the offer of more powers to Scotland to introduce English votes for English laws, strengthening the Tory party's grip on Westminster.
We now have a chance, a great opportunity, to change the way the British people are governed and change it for the better. Or, as Alex Salmond has said, perhaps for a lifetime. So there can be no dispute. We have delivered on devolution under this government, and we will do so again in the next Parliament. The three pro-union parties have made commitments, clear commitments, on further powers for the Scottish Parliament. We will ensure that those commitments are honoured in full. And I can announce today that Lord Smith of Kelvin, who so successfully led Glasgow's Commonwealth Games, has agreed to oversee the process to take forward these devolution commitments, with powers over tax, spending and welfare, all agreed by November, and draft legislation published by January.
The Queen has been closely monitoring the outcome of the vote and is expected to issue a public statement welcoming the survival of the 307-year union.
Meanwhile,